So if you notice, there is a new icon here, which is our plugin. I'm going to open it. So perfect. Now we can chat with DeepSeek inside our IDE. Let me say, write a function that recursively calculates Fibonacci sequence. Let's hit enter. Let's wait for a while. Perfect. So here is our answer. You can see that it started thinking. You can also remove the think tag with a simple regular expression if you want. And then here, it explained the approach. It explained the solution code in Python. And here in depth, it's explaining it to you that what is the base case, what is the recursive case, and what all of these means. Hey everyone, Nariman here. Welcome to my channel. Today, we want to make our own AI coding assistant using DeepSeek. If you have ever worked with tools like GitHub Copilot or Cursor AI, you know that they have their own plugin for different IDEs. So they will be integrated in your IDE, and they will have some kind of chat tool or code completion. And then every time that you are asking some question from it, it will send it to the server and then generate you a response or a code completion. Now that local LLMs are so powerful with the release of the DeepSeek model, I decided to build my own AI code assistant in my preferred IDE, which is IntelliJ IDEA. For this, I need to create my own IntelliJ plugin. To start, you need to first make sure that you installed IntelliJ IDEA. I have the community edition here, which you don't have to pay for anything. It's completely free. And you need to also install Ollama. Ollama will offer us lots of open source LLMs, including DeepSeek R1 model, which we are going to use for our AI code assistant. After installing Ollama, you need to go to any terminal. I'm going to do it just here, and then type Ollama pull, and then DeepSeek R1, and it will come in a bunch of variations. I'm gonna use 8B, which runs faster on my local machine. Have in mind that the bigger the model gets, it will give you better answers, but it also needs more resources. You can start experimenting, for example, starting from 1.5 and then go higher and see how much your local machine can tolerate. If it's getting a lot slower, then you can just choose the previous one. So after running this command, Ollama will pull that model for you, and then we are ready to start our project. And then the other thing that we need to do is you need to go to your IntelliJ IDEA settings, as you can see here, and then you need to open the plugins tab. Here you should install the Plugin DevKit. This is IntelliJ's official development kit, which allows developers to create plugins for IntelliJ IDEA, and of course other JetBrains products. So after you install this, you can see that I already installed it. If you go and create a new project, you can see that there is a new option for you, which is an IDE plugin. So that is what we need. We need to create a project with IDE plugin. You just name it and then click on create. And then you will have a project like this. I already created one. By default, it is a Kotlin project, and it is using Gradle as its build tool. In our code, we will need to connect to Ollama and send requests and receive responses. For this, I'm going to use LangChain. If you are not familiar with LangChain, I would suggest you watch this playlist that I'm going to put up here. I already created lots of videos on how to use LangChain to work with LLMs and create AI agents. So in this video, I'm just gonna skip explaining that. All you need to do for now is to go to this build.gradle file And then here you need to add the LangChain dependency. The Java version of the framework is called LangChain for J, and we are installing the LangChain for J specifically for Ollama. I already created a project structure. What we need to do is basically three things. First, in this class, which is called DeepSeek model, I'm gonna put all the logic that is required to connect to DeepSeek and send messages and get responses using LangChain, of course. And then in the chat panel, I'm just gonna create a panel for the user to chat with the DeepSeek, like with a button that if you click on it, it will send the message, and then some kind of text box, and also the history of the chat, which is showing what user said, what DeepSeek answered. So we are gonna build this UI using Java swings. And then, like all plugins, we need to create some kind of factory to register our plugin, our panel, to the IntelliJ itself. Usually the company that is providing our development kit will give us some kind of interface, which in this case is the tool window factory. So I'm going to implement this and then override the create tool window content. And this way we are registering our panel inside the IDE. So let's waste no more time and start coding. I'm going to start with the DeepSeek model. And I need to define some constants first. So in Kotlin, you are usually doing this inside the companion object. I'm going to do that. And I will make them as private, constant, and then also val. I need to define two things. First, what is our model name? In this case, it's DeepSeek R1 and 8b. The other one would be the base URL, which says where our Ollama is hosted. So I'm going to call it base URL, and then it will be HTTP localhost, and usually Ollama will run on 11.434 by default. With this information, we can create our chat model. This is my chat model. It should be val. It should be of type Ollama chat model. And actually it's a good thing to make this lazy. By defining it as lazy in Kotlin, we will only initialize it when it was first used. When you are initializing some objects that use resources or take some time to create, it's a good idea to make it lazy. So this Ollama chat model has a builder, and it will need exactly the things that we defined as constant: the base URL and the model. So this will be our model name, and then at the end we will call build on it. Let's also maybe break it down so you can see better. Okay, and this class needs only one function, which is very simple. It's chat. It will take a message as a string, and then it will also return the string. And yeah, you can just call the chat on the chat model, pass the message, and then return the response. Pretty simple. So that's it. We are done with our DeepSeek model. Let's go to the chat panel. Here first we are extending the J panel, which is from Java Swings. You can think of a panel as a window that will open up in the application. Then we need to add the components to this panel. What we need for a chat: we need a text box, we need a button, so the user will type his question and then press enter or press this button to send the message. And then we also need some kind of area to show the chat history. What was the question and what is the answer from DeepSeek. I'm gonna try to create this UI as simple as possible. So we need to create these buttons and text box. So let's go ahead and do it. We will need a text area that holds all the chat history. I'm gonna call it chat history area. This should be of type of text area. It needs some inputs like rows, columns. Let's give it just a number. We will change these numbers if the output is not looking very good, but for now it's fine. And then I need to do one more thing. I need to make the is editable as false, because text areas by default you can edit the text inside it, but I'm just gonna show the history, so I don't want no one to edit it. And then we need another text area, which is user input. I'm gonna call this user input area. Let's keep the same size for now. This one should be editable, so we shouldn't do that. But I will add some flags like line wrap true and wrap style word true to format the text a little bit. And as I told you, we need also a button. I'm gonna call it send button, and this is of type button. I'm gonna call it send. These are our components. We need one more thing. We need our DeepSeek model here, because when the user press the enter or press the button, we need to call our model. So this will be private val DeepSeek model. And this is, yeah, that's it. Now we also need to define how these elements should sit together in a panel. So we need to define some kind of layout saying that the history area should be up, and then in the bottom there should be a text input, and then in the bottom there should be a send button. I'm gonna define a layout. Let's call it border layout. And now we need to add stuff to it. First thing is I will wrap my chat history area inside the scroll pan, which allows us to scroll through the chat history. So I will add this, and I'm gonna say that it should be center. So in the center we have our chat history. Let's go down. Then let's create another panel called like bottom panel. And yeah, exactly. This panel would also have the border layout, because now I want to say the user input area should be center. So the text box will be the center of this panel. And then at the bottom there will be a send. So this way, by creating a new panel, I'm ensuring the correct order of user input and the button. Let's also remove this redundant N. So all I need now is to add this button panel to our main panel. I will add the button panel, and then I will specify that it should be south, which is like under. So this way we ensure that there will be first the chat history, and then the user input, and then the send button. This should be good enough for our panel. Let's do the main logic, which is send message. There will be a function called send message. And for this, you need to get the user input. We call it user message maybe, from the user input area. So it has a property called text. Maybe it's also good to call trim on it, so it will remove the white spaces from beginning and at the end. And then I will, yeah, I can check maybe if the user message is empty. or is blank. Let's just return because there is nothing to send to our LLM. And then we can also define a new method called append to chat, which is in charge of getting a message, which is a string, and then just append it to the chat history. Maybe, yeah, like this, and also maybe a new line at the end. So now that we have this, after we receive the user's message, we can append it. So this is user message. To be also able to differentiate between our message and DeepSeek, we can do something like this. So we are appending user said this message, DeepSeek said this message. And we need to also clear the text area. So when user hits the button, the text inside the input should be cleared. So I'm gonna say text equal empty string. One important thing that you need to know is that operations inside the UI should be non-blocking. So when the user sends the message, if you are gonna send it to DeepSeek and then just wait for the response, the UI would be frozen. You cannot interact with it anymore. It's not the best user experience, so when we are sending the message to DeepSeek, I'm gonna run it inside a new thread. So I'm gonna create a new thread here, like this, a block. And then you need to call your chat model here. So let's go ahead and, yeah, let's use this. So we called our chat with the user message and we received the DeepSeek response. So now what I'm gonna do is call the invoke later, which is again asynchronous, to append the answer of the DeepSeek. And I'm gonna say DeepSeek said this one, so append this to this chat history. So now if you look at our send message, this is an unused method. How should we register this method? So when the button is clicked, it should be invoked. This is actually very easy. You go here and add an action listener to our button. So I'm just gonna say send button.add action listener, and then I'm gonna call this send message. Now every time that you press this button, this method will be invoked. One other cool thing is that we can register to this user input that whenever the user pressed enter, also send the message. Let's go here. Yeah, like this. And there is an input map that I can put some keystroke. This will be enter, and this I'm gonna call, yeah, maybe send message. So this will be a map between when enter is pressed, invoke the action of send message. And then I need to also add an action to the action map, which I have here. I'm gonna say put, and then let's see what Copilot is suggesting. Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna say if the send message is invoked, go and call this method. This way, when a user hits enter, we are gonna also send the message to DeepSeek. You can do many things to improve this UI. I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as possible. I can do one more thing because it's gonna come handy. I'm gonna say if shift enter was pressed, call it add new line, and then here as an action apply a new line to the text box, like this and like this. I added this because sometimes that you are working with this code assistants, you are asking some question and then you need to go to the new line and then paste your code, say like why doesn't this work or something like that. And since we added this before, if you press enter, it will just send the message. So there is no way to go to the new line. So I'm gonna add this option that when you hit shift enter, you will go to the new line, and when you hit enter, you will send the message. We are done with our panel, I guess. So that's it. We are ready to register our panel. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna define one panel. I'm gonna call it chat panel, or maybe, I don't know, something like chat tool window. I guess it's better. And then you need to create a content out of this. You need a content factory to get an instance from this. And then I'm gonna call this content factory. And out of this, I'm gonna create a content. I'm gonna pass my tool window. I'm gonna call it the same name as my project, Chat with DeepSeek. And then, yeah, maybe there is no need for that. So this is my content. And you need to add this content to the tool window. So there is not much to say about this. This is just some steps that is required by IntelliJ to do. Implement this interface, override this method, and then add your tool window as a content to this content manager. That's how you register your plugin. And then at the end, you have a plugin.xml. Let me show you here. That has all the information about your plugin. I already filled a bunch of it. It's not important, like the name, like the vendor, what is the email or website, or the name of the creator. These are more important when you want to actually publish it on IntelliJ plugin store probably. So I already filled those, but what is important is that you absolutely need to go to these extensions and add your information about the plugin and how to access the factory. I need to create a tool window here. It requires me a factory class, which I'm gonna say where is my chat tool window factory, the one that we just built. Is .NET, .NERIMAN, .code, DeepSeek. Yeah, that is our class. That is our class. And then ID can be anything. I'm just gonna call it DeepSeek. And then I'm gonna close it. Also maybe anchor right, so it appears on the right side. And that's it. I guess we already built our plugin. We are ready to build and install our plugin. You can go to the command line and then type this command to build. Let's run it. It will take a while, but not that much. And yeah, now our plugin is ready. If you go to this build, you can see that there is a distributions folder, and here our plugin is packaged as a zip file. All you need to do is go to settings, and of course in the plugins, and if I click on this little settings icon, there is an option to install plugin from disk. I'm gonna open this, and then I'm gonna go to build, distributions, and file this zip file. And here you can see that my plugin is installed. I'm gonna enable it. Let's click OK. So if you notice, there is a new icon here, which is our plugin. I'm gonna open it. So perfect. Now we can chat with DeepSeek inside our IDE. Let me say write a function that recursively calculates Fibonacci sequence. Let's hit enter. Let's wait for a while. Perfect. So here is our answer. You can see that it started thinking. You can also remove the think tag with a simple regular expression if you want. And then here it explained the approach, it explained the solution code in Python, and here in depth it's explaining it to you that what is the base case, what is the recursive case, and what all of these means. So yeah, that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I will put this plugin in my GitHub repository, and I will add the link in the description so you can check it out, install it yourself, add some functionality to it. At the end, please like this video and also subscribe me for more content like this. See you around.